you cry. Baby mine, dry your eyes. Rest your head close to my heart, never to part, baby of mine.
The mission of the CHARGE Syndrome Foundation is to provide support to individuals with CHARGE and their families, to gather, develop, maintain, and distribute information about CHARGE syndrome, and to promote awareness and research regarding its identification, cause, and management.
You're a cutie, huh? Come here, mister.
Jake, Mackenzie, and Taylor. 3 children and their families, each experiencing their own journey through a life with CHARGE syndrome. Not many people are familiar with CHARGE because it's so rare, occurring just about once in every 10,000 births.
They told me at a doctor's appointment that they had to take him that day. And so we went to the hospital, and they knew something was going a little different, but they weren't really sure what the extent of it was yet. So I had him by C-section, and as soon as they took him out, just by his look even, they knew something was wrong, and he turned blue immediately. So NICU came immediately and whisked him away. When I first got to see him, he was just having a hard time breathing and everything. So it was an eye-opener just because I thought everything was fine.
It was the best day of our lives and the worst day of our lives, all in one.
We knew that Kenzie was going to be born with a cleft lip, but we weren't prepared for any of the other things that happened. And so I was separated from her when she was born. She was taken to the Children's Hospital, and I had to stay back, and JP went with her.
It was one thing right after the other. You just kept getting bad news after bad news after bad news. They would come out of the waiting room and tell you more things that were wrong or more things that they had found and more issues, and it just kept piling on and on and on.
He was born and we knew something was going on right away, and it turns out it was his heart. He had a big hole in his heart, but that was all we knew at the time. And we discovered his vision problems about 5 weeks later. He has a really large colobomus. And that doctor sent us to a geneticist. So the geneticist made the diagnosis at about 2.5 months. And that was where we sort of began our journey of learning about what all CHARGE syndrome was and what could be involved and what pieces that Taylor has.
Hello, I'm Dennis O'Toole, fundraising chairman of the CHARGE Syndrome Foundation and a proud father of a little girl with CHARGE. You've just met a few of the hundreds of families like mine helped by the CHARGE Syndrome Foundation. During the next few minutes, we'll teach you about this little-known condition and inspire you to learn more. But most of all, we'll show you families with courage and strength and explain how the CHARGE Syndrome Foundation helps these families improve the quality of life of their children. CHARGE is a complex syndrome involving extensive medical and physical difficulties that differ from child to child. Babies with CHARGE syndrome are often born with life-threatening birth defects. They spend weeks or months in the hospital and undergo many surgeries and other treatments. Swallowing and breathing problems make life difficult even when they come home. Most have hearing loss, vision loss, and balance problems which delay their development and communication. Despite these seemingly insurmountable obstacles, children with CHARGE syndrome often far surpass their medical, physical, educational, and social expectations. Some of the most common characteristics of CHARGE are a specific defect in the retina of the eye, called a coloboma, which causes vision problems or blindness. Malformation of the inner and outer ear, which causes impaired hearing or deafness, as well as balance problems. Dysfunction of a specific cranial nerve, which causes facial palsy and swallowing problems. Many children with CHARGE have feeding tubes for some part of their childhood. Blockage or narrowing of the airway between the throat and the nose, which causes breathing problems in infants. Congenital heart defects, which often require numerous surgeries. Although there is no cure for CHARGE, over the past 20 years a lot of knowledge has been developed about the features of CHARGE, what medical care is typically required, and the challenges CHARGE presents to a person's lifelong development and well-being, and the impact of CHARGE on families.
It has been a real challenge, and certainly joyful and rewarding many times, but being the parent of a child who has significant disabilities, such as Taylor does with Charge syndrome, has, it creates lots of havoc in a family. Our other older teenager, has made many sacrifices during his life because we couldn't do this or that because of Taylor, or, Taylor had a seizure, so it changed the plans of the day. He's the bright spot of our family as well, because he's this fabulous little blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy who just brings incredible joy to our lives.
Up here. Up here. Watch Mommy. She's so happy, and
She's loving.
yeah, she's got such a fun, spunky personality and sense
She
of
gets so
humor.
excited.
Yeah.
And she loves to beat on her brothers.
Yes, he does.
It's one of the hardest parts, and I think everybody knows this. Until you get that diagnosis, you can't get any help. You can't get any funding. You can't get any assistance through the state or, with medical programs or anything. Right now, he's been fairly healthy. He does have some surgeries coming up that, obviously we have to address. He has the other choanal surgery. His heart still needs to be fixed, but they're waiting really for him to get as strong as he can so that, he can go through it.
But for many families dealing with Charge, the diagnosis is slow in coming. For JP and Catherine, Mackenzie's diagnosis of Charge came only after visiting the Charge Foundation website.
She was about 3 weeks old when we found it. They had diagnosed her with colobomas and told us she would be blind. So we went online to, JP did, he was home, I was at the hospital, looked it up, and it linked us to the Charge website. And
Along with the cleft lip and the cleft palate.
And it just, reading about it, it just described Mackenzie. They didn't think she had Charge at that point. It was a couple weeks before they finally started calling it Charge. She was about 6 weeks old when the doctor started referring to Charge. I think the foundation kind of continues to grow with us as, and serve different needs.
The amount of information that's provided both through the foundation newsletter, the e-groups, the conferences, has really been a lifesaver in terms of letting us know we have a lifeline to other families, to professionals, to the system, and figuring out how to navigate that, whether it be the human services system or the school system. It's a complicated life, but the foundation has really just helped smooth some of that way out.
I felt for a long time pretty lost when I didn't know just anything, about Charge or what Jake's life was going to be like, or, but I think through the foundation and meeting other families, I'm very hopeful, a lot more hopeful than I was at the beginning. I see these kids go on to live fairly normal lives. They attend college, they live on their own, and I'm really hoping for that, obviously, for my child.
The Charge Syndrome Foundation wrote the book on how to care for children with Charge. The manual is updated regularly with the latest medical, treatment, and parenting information. The manual is used by both parents and professionals as the reference for Charge syndrome.
It is helpful, and it was helpful when we received it. It was right around when Kenzie was turning 3 and starting early intervention, the preschool, all of that. And so to be able to give some information to her teachers, and I did take parts of it to her different doctors or endocrinologists.
It's the International Charge Syndrome Conference that provides the face-to-face personal contact that parents need to learn more about research, treatment, and support systems for parenting a child with Charge. And sometimes it's the support that is most important.
Support.
Yes.
A lot of support, meeting good people, contacts, people that can empathize with what you're going through, and you start to see a pattern, or you start to understand people that have had kids, that are just born that have Charge. And then we met people that have children that were 18, in college that have Charge syndrome, and you start to see different levels of Charge, severity levels, and all of the people that we met are amazing in their own way, but the kids especially are just, that helps a lot to really understand, what lies ahead for you and some of the challenges, and a lot of the good things too. You're in a place for once that nobody looks at you weird, and people don't second guess what you're doing.
And seeing all these kids and feeling like Kenzie was part of this wonderful family That was unbelievable. It was so amazing to have these people that were so devoted to Charge.
It was absolutely incredible to be able to visit with professionals who knew all about Charge syndrome, because our doctors were great, but they were learning right along with us about what to expect with Charge syndrome.
I wanted to go to the conference, but financially we really weren't able to that first year. And so we got the scholarship, and they helped us with our rooms and our the fees to come to the conference, which was very helpful because we probably wouldn't have been able to go that first year just because we had so much going on medically and financially.
Children with Charge and their families work to overcome great obstacles in their lives.
It's just amazing to me how resilient the kids really are, you know, and I mean, Jake and all the other kids too have gone through so much in their short lives that most people really go through.
But parents realize they can't go it alone, and the Charge Syndrome Foundation truly becomes a partner for the delivery of services, information, and support.
You figure out what you got to do and you just get through it. And that's where the foundation has been a tremendous resource, because there are other parents out there who've done this before I did it. And so I can always go to them, and I can share what I've learned with other families.
Main goal is for her to be happy. We want her to live a happy life, trying to live independently, do things on her own. We love her.
Yeah.
She's great. She's something else.
I think that people need to be more aware, and obviously funding needs to be a part of that, you know, so that we can help spread the word, or, you know, help families, you know, who are newly diagnosed.
We got high fives? Yeah. What about the knucks? Can we do the knucks?
But you're so precious to me, sweet as can be, baby of mine.
Jacob, where's my hug? Give me my hug.
Aw, there it is.
On behalf of all of us associated with the Charge Syndrome Foundation, thanks for taking the time to learn more about Charge. Your support will allow us to continue to deliver important information and critical services to families living with Charge. I'm Dennis O'Toole, Dad to a Child with Charge. Thanks for watching.
This program is a production of Broadcast Media Ideas, a Michael Satoni company.